What's going on, y'all? And welcome to another episode of Resilient Kings Podcast. Whoa. Now you about to start some controversy here. I am your host, Yaron Brown. Hold on a minute. This is a Resilient King alert. Resilient King alert. You ain't gonna roll past that. This is Resilient Kings Podcast coming to you. Let's go. Welcome to another episode of Resilient Kings Podcast. I am your host, Yaron Brown. Today, we have an amazing guest. Today, Brother Kennard Weever, soon to be Dr. Kennard Weever, is an executive director of an awesome program in Georgia, was an amazing school counselor in the state of Georgia, is doing amazing things, a father, a pastor, a husband. I don't know what else. We're going to call him the Renaissance man because he's doing it all. Brother, thank you for coming on this podcast. Thank you for blessing us with your presence. We are so happy to have you today. How are you doing?
Man, listen, of all of the people that you could have thought of to have on today, thank you for thinking enough of this young black man over here to invite me to be a part of this. So I feel extremely honored and privileged. Thank you for allowing me to be here. I'm just going to sit back and be myself and look forward to learning as we go through this process. So
then I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you. So let's jump in. Where are you from originally? Are you from Georgia?
Originally, I was born in Guyana, South America. My mother, who was a school teacher.
Now, hold on a minute, because we got to stop here. Hold on a minute. Because a lot of people confuse these two, so I want to make sure because you know what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
It's the first thing people
Guyana,
say.
South America, not Africa.
Say it again. Say it again for me.
Guyana, South America. It's the southern part of right between Venezuela and Suriname. It's Guyana, not Guyana in Africa.
Okay, so this brother said that he is Guyanese. He's Guyanese.
Yes.
Right? So check the difference. One is in South America. One is on the west coast, right, of
Correct.
Africa.
Correct.
So he is Guyanese. Let's
Guyanese,
clarify that,
Caribbean
right?
born. Yes.
So you're born in Guyana.
I was born in Guyana, South America.
Okay.
My mother was a school teacher back in Guyana, South America. And back in 1978, my mother had an opportunity to attend what we call today professional development, right? She got a chance to come to the United States for professional development. The country at that time was very underdeveloped. There were no phones in the home. We didn't even have bathrooms in the home. You had to go outside to the backyard to go use the bathroom. And a few days later, when it was time for my mother to return home from Guyana, South America, we went to the airport and we're standing there waiting for my mother to deplane. And the way that the airport is set up, you're standing in the building, but the airplane is across the field. And everyone came off the airplane and then the pilot came off. And guess who didn't come off the airplane? My mother did not come off that airplane. And so I'm not sure if we even knew what frantic meant back there to even say we were frantic. But a few days later, we received a telegram that said that my mother, she liked the United States of America and she would like to remain here to make a life for her children and her family. And so my mom gave up her teaching job, found a doctor in New York City that she became a homemaker and a caretaker for his children for 4 years and built her way, and then sponsored her 6 children. At the time, it was 6 of us and some grandchildren. And we migrated to the United States of America in 1982.
Now, how old were you at that time?
At that time, I was 13 years old. 13 when we came to the United States of America.
So 13 years old. So, and my math is horrible.
Do your math.
13 years old. When you're 13 years old, she was here for 4 years. So you were 9 years old when she did not come off the plane.
Absolutely.
What was 4 years without your mom like?
Honestly, I don't know. I can't give you a real response of what that was like emotionally or any of those different things, right? My father was a seaman, so that means that when he goes off to work, he was gone 6, 8 months at a time. So mom was the person that was home, and at that time, my father's sister moved into our home to take care of us. So she moved into our home with her children, right? So now you have a house full of kids. So we never knew what it was like to have our own home and our own space. You have about 7, 8 kids who were sharing the same room, to share the same bed, and all of those different things. Right? And so when we migrated here in 1982, we came, joined my mom here. My dad stayed at home to close up family business and those different things. And he was going to join us a year later in 1983, November. October of 1983, we received a telegram that my father died of a massive heart attack back home. So my dad
Just
never
before he
made
was
it
supposed
here.
to come here to the
Just
United
before
States.
my father was supposed to come here to the United States. He died of a massive heart attack. At that time, we were in the New Jersey area. There was a request made for myself, my younger sister, my younger brother. We had to get permission from the schools to miss school for that amount of days to go home to the funeral service, and the school system denied it. So we never got a chance to go home and say that final goodbye. So here we are in 2024, about to go into 2025, and I've never been back to Guyana to say that final goodbye at my father's gravesite. Man, he just took me back. He just took me back. Yeah.
Wow. So only a select few of you were able to go. Was your mom able to go back?
Correct. My mom.
Okay, so your mom went back with some of your siblings, but the
Correct.
ones that were school age could not go back.
We could not. We could
So
not go back.
as a collective, you guys shared that experience of not being able to go back to say your final goodbye to your father.
Absolutely. And now that you're talking through this, is something that it just triggers something for me, right? Myself and my younger sister, my younger brother is now back in Guyana, residing there. And my family goes to Guyana. My sister and some of her kids just returned back from Guyana just a few days ago. Some faction of my family goes to Guyana every single year. But my younger sister and I, who were impacted by this, we have no desire to even visit, and we haven't been back, neither one of us. And you just saying that just triggered that for me, that it's a running joke in our family that we don't care what happened in the United States of America, you're going to have to kill me here, right? That's my sister and my take. Yes.
So no matter. So we ain't going back to Guyana.
No.
But I heard it's a beautiful country.
And so I heard it develop even more, even more now that they've discovered oil and those different things. But sitting here not talking to you, you're about to trigger me a little bit. I'm starting to put these pieces of this thread together. That there is an underlying reason why neither her nor I have no desire to go.
Wow. So 9 years old or 13 years old, and I just want to go back a little bit. 13 years old, you go from not having your own place, several of you guys sleeping in the same bed, not having consistent running water, not having a phone in the place, and now you go to what situation when you come to the States?
A very intense situation. Like we're now in a new place where we don't understand the weather patterns. We don't understand the culture shift. We never understood anything about racism and the difference in skin color. We never experienced any of those until we came to the United States of America. Because in Guyana, the dominant culture there, our races there are blacks and Indians, but we all coexist together, right? So I never knew. So when we talk here in the United States about racism, have you ever been discriminated against? For me, that's an oblivious thing that if I have been, I don't know. I don't even know how to recognize it because I've never been accustomed to it.
And you come into New York, or you come in straight to Jersey?
We came through New York to Jersey, right? So I remember.
So you.
I remember that November 9th night like it was yesterday, right? See how dark I am. We came and we flew into JFK. It was freezing. It was cold. We had no coats, anything. And when we got to the home in New Jersey where my mother was, um, she wanted us to clean up. So I went to go take a shower. I took off my clothes and my skin was just as white, right? Because
you're so cold.
I'm cold. I'm cold, and then I almost scorched myself to death because because in Guyana we have one temperature of water, sir. We don't have this. You got to regulate the temperature of the water. Talk about culture shock, man. Yes.
What?
Yes.
And so you go from a tropical climate to Jersey. And first time hot versus cold water, and your body is already super cold.
Absolutely, yes.
Brother. And then so now you go into the school and you see all these different cultures as well.
This melting pot of things that are happening, right? A couple of things, and this story is not being told in any type of order. We're just mixing this like soup.
Yeah.
So my mother never remarried. My mother never dated again. My mother never brought another man into our lives to this very day. My mother, today, as a matter of fact, look at that. Today, as a matter of fact, is my mother's 85th birthday.
Shout out to moms. Hold on a minute. Time out.
Happy birthday to my mom.
Time out.
Yes, sir.
Your mother's first and last name, because we have to say happy birthday to her.
Eileen Weever in Pleasantville, New Jersey. Happy birthday to Mama, 85 years old today.
Happy birthday, Mother Weaver. Happy birthday, 85. It is a blessing that you've made it this far, and we are so thrilled that you are still here with us. God bless you, and we wishing you many, many, many more birthdays.
Thank you for that, man. Thank you. That's the pillar and the strength of my life, right? So Mom she's been mother and father. She's been male and female. My mother has worked several jobs to the point where we never saw Mom at home at times, right? We saw Mom by meeting her at the bus stop while she's going from one job to the next, so we can hand her lunch or her dinner for her to take with her. So imagine, me being in this world of school counseling, a Black male school counselor, and I'm hearing all of these stories about young males specifically who are behaving in manner in such a way because, quote unquote, there's not a male presence in the home or there's not a father figure in the home, right? And as a school counselor, I struggle with that because I'm saying I didn't have a male presence in the home. I didn't have a father figure in the home. And that's not an excuse for any sort of behavior, right? So I struggle with that going through those dynamics because I had male figures in the schools, I had male figures in the community, I had male figures in the church. And so I struggle when we try to use that as a buffer of an excuse of this is why young Kennard is behaving this way because there's not a male figure in the home.
So let's jump into it. Let's jump into it. So since you said that, I guess the question becomes, were you seeking these male figures out? Like, did you know that there was something that you didn't have, something that you desired, that you decided, okay, I am going to reach out to these male figures? Or did they just happen to pop in your life and then you noticed them but didn't gravitate to them? Or were you like gravitating to them and they responded in kind? So how did that work, or what did that look like for you?
That's a challenging question, right? Because I think at 13, 14, 15, even 16 or 17 years of age, I'm not sure that I had the maturity or the wherewithal to even try to determine what is it that I needed, right? So we do this a lot with young people today. But let's find out from them what they want. But I have to give credence to people, again, like my mother, who knew that this was something I lack in my life and who placed me in environments where I can be the recipients of these things that was missing in my life.
So Mom even took it a step further, noticing, hey, this is something that I believe he may need. Let me put him in situations and circumstances that he's going to at least be able to receive this.
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
So as I look back on that, I'm thinking, my undergraduate experience occurred because uh, of a young black male that mom exposed me to. Right, my experience, my faith life. Right, to this very day, I have some folks. You cannot tell them that I'm not their child because they adopted me at the church. The mom and the husband and wife, and these people are stern supporters and believers in Kennard. They're there in my life, and they've been there in my life since I was in undergraduate school to this very point. So when I go home to New Jersey while I'm going to visit my mom and my siblings, I also have to make sure that I stop by and see these individuals, because these are people who put that support system around me. And here's the point. They loved me in my good, and they loved me through my bad. And that they loved me when I was good, and when I was bad and I needed correction, they loved me through it. Right? And for me, that is what is missing in our society today, as we talk about what is going on in our culture, and we'll get into that.
You just dropped so many Brazilian King skills right there. We gotta break those down a little bit. So not only is it important for us to have, or did you have, community within community? Like within your family structure and community, you had your mom developed another community to help support you and lift you up. And then I heard you say something else, which was so important, which was that we have to love even through the bad. Right? That's a resilient king skill that we don't have, right? That we may say as men that we love you, but then if you do something, then I can't mess with you no more. Right? Those that are closest to us, we reject because they make a mistake or they do something or they're in their learning process. Right? They're trying to figure out the world around them, and they do something that may be confusing to us, right? Or we don't understand why they're doing this or what's the cause of it. And so we end up rejecting or writing them off. And then and I'm sure the feeling is I'm less than, because now you are rejecting somebody that I thought loved me is now rejecting me.
Because of who I am, right? Because there is an attributes of me now that you're being introduced to. I think one of the things that we do so terrible, bro, in life is we wear this thing called love like it's a garment of clothing or a piece of fabric that we get to decide when we put it on and when we take it off, right? And so when we say to people, and I say this a lot, even in intimacy of love, relationship of love between a man and a woman, husband and wife, when people say, I love you, what we are in essence really saying is Yaron, I love the way you make me feel. And if you stop making me feel this way, I'm liable to stop loving you. Right? Love is not something, I have my children, I'm wearing a shirt today, you can't see, that says Daddy's Heartbeats, right? Have my 3 children's name on it, right? And my children, while they know that I love them, they don't get the honor of the love. They don't have to wear the honor of, oh, my daddy loved me. I'm the one that has to wear the honor. I get the privilege to love them. Right? So the love responsibility is on me. That if the love responsibility is on me. Right. And that's challenging for some people. We haven't graduated to that place. We have not graduated to this place because if I know that I'm loved and you put me in a pressureful environment and life become really hard for me, and now I'm under this amount of pressure, there ought to be somebody that's been in my corner that's I love, that when you walk through the door, I can feel the load lighten because my love just walked in the door.
I don't know if people are ready for this, brother. I don't know if you were ready for this, right? Because
and to me, that's love. That's love. You don't get to choose whether or not you're going to love an individual. And love doesn't have these degrees or these elevations, right? Love is love.
Correct.
Love is love. So when people, especially when people are in these romantic relationships, I never understand when they use language like, we just fell out of love. Well, then tell me when you fell into love, because love is
Yes.
not a substance. Right?
Yes. Correct. Correct.
Makes no sense. Yes.
So, whew, all right. So you just packed a whole bunch in there. You packed a whole bunch.
Sorry.
So that's okay. Did you notice that growing up that love was consistent?
I'll say this. I talk about my mother and my father, right? These are two individuals that I've never seen argue. I've never noticed these two individuals at odds with one another. I've seen two individuals that had a unified front and a unified presence. I've seen two individuals who balance each other in such a way that you never knew where the weakness was in one person or the other. I've never witnessed my mother putting my father down, and to this day, I've never heard my mother said one ill word about my father. Now, there's no way in the world these two people could have been together this long and shared all of this and not have challenges. I don't know how they balance that out. Growing up in Guyana, South America, we have this culture that the responsibility of the family is on the adults, not the children. And so my parents never burdened us with adult issues, if that makes any sense, right? And so when you said, have I ever noticed, for me, I didn't even know what I was supposed to be looking for.
So hold on a minute. Whoa, 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 whoa. You said the culture your culture of origin,
Mm-hmm.
you never knew, or children were never burdened by adult issues.
Absolutely not.
I know a lot of men that grew up burdened by adult issues. I know a lot of them that where we could even call it a form of emotional incest, where these young men are burdened by adult issues. And whether it's either parent, they are exposing them not to what the world is in the culture in which they're living in, but burdened by adult issues, burdened by adult situations, exposing them to an adult life at a very young age.
And it's innate in you, right? It's innate in you that those those impression that young people have that they in either adapt or they inherit from the parents is not a requirement for the parent to even be present. I am my daddy's child, so the way that I treat the women in my life, the way that I treat my wife, the way that I treat my daughters, are expression the way my father treated the female figures in his life, and he didn't have to be in my life for a long period of time. I believe this. I believe every young girl grows up and marries her father. Every young boy grows up and marries his mother, not in some type of incestuous way, right? But you marry the characteristics and you marry the nature of, right? So if that's a good thing or a bad thing that a girl marries her father or a boy marries his mother, it's all predicated upon the relationship that the parents had with the child.
Mm. So I'm gonna ask you this then. What happens if the father was never present? Who is he?
I'm glad you asked that question, because
Yes.
if daddy is never present, that's why my little girl is okay hooking up with men who don't have a constant presence in their lives.
Mm.
Right? That you find yourself having to chase after men for attention because you've never had that presence in your life. So you're used to daddy being gone, and daddy can come in and say any sweet thing in your ear and make you feel good for the moment, and then be gone for the next several days or hours, or whatever the case may be, because you end up marrying the nature that you have become comfortable with. It's like for ugly term, it's like taking a pig out of a sloppy environment, cleaning that pig up, putting nice stuff on that pig. But the moment you let that pig go, guess where they're going back to?
And so, what does that mean for the man who has this mom who may be doing everything, right? Or this boy whose mom is doing everything, trying to do everything she can to keep it all afloat.
And here's what I admire about Eileen Weaver, this woman that has been my first woman I've ever loved.
Mm.
In the absence of my father, my mother never tried to replace my father in physical form, nor did she try to replace my father in responsibility. My mother just did what she thought she needed to do to take care of her family.
So she didn't claim. So I know. So she didn't claim to be the man and woman of the home.
She didn't claim to be that. She did not make any excuse about this is a man's role. He need a male in his life, and those different kind of things. Now, I'm not saying this is everybody's story, but this is Kennard Weever's story, right? And for me, I turned out okay. So when my wife and I got married and we had our first child, I picked up my wife from the hospital, and at that time, my first child, our daughter, who is now 22 years old, they gave you those little we call them care packages from the hospital. Right? So we go home now, me, my wife, and this baby that we've never had, and we go home, and I am tearing up this bag. I'm going through this bag and I'm throwing stuff. They got a little bottle of formula in the bag, and they have a little bottle of diaper. They had at the time they gave you a little manual for you to read information. And my wife said to me, she said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm looking for the manual." She said, "What manual?" I said, "We've never been parents before. We've never had a child before. Where's the manual that is supposed to tell us what is it that we're supposed to do?" That manual is supposed to be the environment that I came from, how that has impacted me. We can't write it. We can't write it. And it is a struggle. So for me, I've been blessed in some ways to practice school counseling in some very accepting environment that allowed me to be true to the essence of helping children and families to understand, instead of wishing for what you don't have or what you never had and waste all that time, how do we make the best of what you have? That's challenging, man.
Resilient King skill. How do we make the best of what we have? Right? Before you can take, and I'm hearing this, and I'm gonna take it a step further, Kennard. So in order for us to go from okay to good to great, we got to be okay with what we have first.
We have to be okay with okay. We have to be okay with okay.
And then once we okay with that, then we can start looking at, okay, so how do we take the next step? But if we never become good with okay, then we always chasing something that we may not ever receive or achieve.
Absolutely. Right. So in school counseling, and I've had the pleasure of practicing in communities that was heavy Hispanic influence, right? Heavy African American influence. So different cultures of melting pot. One of the things, and I caught a lot of flack for this when I was a practicing school counselor, one of the things I never kept in my office, and it's one of the number one thing they said counselors should always have, are tissues. I never kept tissue boxes in my office. As a matter of fact, when you come into my office, whatever, you can be huffing and puffing and all in your emotion, I need you to sit in it for a moment. So I let you sit. I won't even start talking to you. I bring in whomever the student is at the time. They sit, and I'm on my computer doing whatever, getting my notes together. I need to sit and observe that for a moment, right? And here is my analogy about tissue. If you come into my office and whatever it is that you're dealing with, it erupt emotions in you, and your tears start to flow, and the first thing I do is push a tissue box in front of you and tell you to wipe your tears away, your tears are part of your story. I'm trying to tell you that part of your story doesn't matter. That's you, man. That's a part of you. That's a part of your story. Because guess what's going to happen? When you're ready for a tissue, guess what you're going to do? You're going to ask me for one.
Yeah.
And then I can go get
or you're going to ask one. Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
But
because it's about, because you are allowing them to be them.
You have to sit in it. You have to sit in it. You have to be okay with okay.
Don't sit in it though.
Right.
A lot of men run from it. Actually,
correct.
A lot of men don't want, like, the moment you try and give them a tissue, or they gonna suck it all the way up, or they may not, or you may not even get to a point to where they even expose themselves enough to even want to cry, because that is seen as being less than. Like sitting with
growing up.
That's so crazy.
Sitting with your emotion, right? Like, what? I have emotion. God wired me this way. Because if you, as a boy, just think about it, as a boy growing up, if you're outside playing and running and you fall and you skin your knee, it hurts. It doesn't hurt any differently than a girl falling and skinning her knee, right? If she falls and skin her knee and she start crying, what do? We kiss it and we
picking her up, everything. Right? Yeah.
If you fall and you skin your knee, what do we tell you?
Oh, rub some dirt.
Big boys don't cry.
Yeah, rub some dirt on it. You'll be all right.
You'll be okay. Come on, tough it up. Be a man. Big boys don't cry. And we're still telling grown men that big boys don't cry. So here's my question. If big boys don't cry, when is it okay for me to be a little boy? Because I'm wired with these emotions. Man, listen, I don't know what you're getting started here, but
look, that's what. So we like this idea of like we not okay with not being okay, and so I can, like, as we talking about this, I'm constantly in this mode of, we see these young men that aren't okay. So I guess the question goes back to, because I know for me, and I'm speaking about me, it was, my environment indicated just what you said. It wasn't okay to cry, right? It wasn't okay not to be okay. And I had to suck up a lot of tears, right? A lot of times where emotions were high and I couldn't let it go. Right? Whether it was my parents divorcing, whether it was me wanting my father's influence more in my life, regardless of it, I couldn't allow that. I couldn't allow that out. So I did a whole bunch of stuff I had no business doing. Right? Were you allowed to express how you felt openly? Or is that something you developed over time?
I think for me, that's just been my development phase, right? That I have always been expressive in who I am, even in my adult year, to become comfortable with the fact that your expression is not always going to be acceptable. Everybody's not going to like it or agree with it. But I take that analogy of that flight simulated safety that they give you. If the cabin loses pressure and this oxygen mask comes down, if you're traveling with someone younger than you, take care of you first, because I can't take care of you if I'm not okay. Right? I love the fact that you keep driving home this okay aspect, because as men, we are always driven to be great, to be better. You're supposed to be the protector. You're supposed to be the provider. You're supposed to be all of this. We're always told what we're supposed to be for other people. No one ever tells us who's supposed to do that for us. So when do I get taken care of? When do I get provided for? And it's hard. It's a struggle. It's a struggle. So for me, I purposely, in my career, I think when one job that I worked, that I was less than 10 minutes away from home, I thrive on the long distance drive.
Okay.
I thrive that my workplace need to be so many distance away from home
Mm-hmm.
because I need that drive time. I need that debrief time in between my commute, because the workplace don't want me to bring my home life there,
Mm-hmm.
and home don't want me to bring my work life there. Right?
So you need a spot where you can drop it all off.
Right. I need a place where I can just compartmentalize and come in, and that is a danger in it because most people will look at a person like Yaron Brown and so many other men that we know who look like they have it together, who look strong, who look like they have a great balancing act. And at no point does anybody stop and ask you why you're looking good. Are you okay? We just make the assumption that the smile gives it away. And sometimes the smile is just a fabrication of what's been suppressed within me. And at some point, years ago, I heard a gentleman say that he was playing basketball and he had a wart on his foot. So he went to the doctor. He said it was hurting like crazy. He went to the doctor and he said, the doctor says, whenever you see this appears in the life of an adult, it doesn't originate there. This had happened before when you were a child. And because you ignored it, it got sucked back into the body. And later on in life, it will pop up in some other area of the body. Right? Those things that we're not allowed to address, talk about, allowing our young boys to talk, engaging them in conversation. Later in life, it shows up in their work habits, in their relationships, and how they relate in the community and those different things. Because I always believe this in my practice school counseling. I tell the kids all the time, and they call me and they said, Yaron is acting up and Yaron is in here spitting and cussing. I pull Yaron to the side to my office, and I always start my session with them in this manner. Yaron, I apologize that you're trying to communicate with us in a language we have yet to understand. Because every behavior is a communication piece. You're trying to say something to us, and whether you're cussing or punching or yelling or whatever, you're trying to tell us something. We just don't understand the language yet.
Oh boy!
I'm enjoying this.
boy, this is look. Whether this is recorded or not, I'm into it.
Yeah.
So as you say this, I think of the young men that we interact with that are communicating with us in a way that we just don't understand today. Right? And that a lot of it, and I want to clarify something because I know that we can easily fall into this trap where we demonize somebody's upbringing or parents, right? When they are just doing what they know how to do in the best way they know how. Now, that may not be the most effective way, but it's still a way, right? And so that's not to say that they're horrible people. That's to say that they only doing what they know, right? It's not like they got to, like you said, there's no manual behind this. The manual is the way that I was raised, right?
Correct.
And so I got to I'm trying to figure it out. Now, do we have more resources now available? To some degree, absolutely. But we don't have the ultimate amount of resources that we need. And so as I see these young men, let me not even say young men, as I see these adult men communicating in a language that we don't understand because they're trying to communicate something to us. And what I'm hearing you say and what I am receiving is that oftentimes they're communicating that they're not okay, but nobody is willing to listen or hear it because we haven't made space for them to say that they're not okay.
Correct. And letting them know it is okay. I don't understand your language yet. I don't understand your communication mechanism yet. I had the privilege of being a part of a new school that we opened in Gwinnett County Public Schools. And Gwinnett County Public School built a new school and just got a principal and handed us to school and say, go do school. And so
that sounds about right.
And so it's my second academic year, and the principal that I was under at that time was chosen to go be the principal at this school. And he had a chance to select his staff and say, hey, I want you to come along and be a part of the counseling team. And so we had a pleasure to go over to this building and walk through the building prior to the occupancy of the building. And when we walked through the building, they had, first time I've been in an elementary school that had 3 different levels, and you know what numbers are like in Gwinnett County. But we had these plush areas that we are separated and designed at every level of the school for the administrators, right? And so we walked back into the lobby area. This prior to the school, we were still under construction. And I said, I asked him, I said, can I make a crazy recommendation to you or suggestion? I said, instead of spreading the administrators throughout the building and putting the counselors in a suite, what if we spread the counselors throughout the building and put the administrators in the suite? Because when parents come to the school, most of the time they're not coming to see counselors. But most of the time, whenever a teacher push that button and say, I need an administrator, 9 out of 10 times what they need is a counselor. If you spread the administrators out, you are setting up an expectation that we're expecting behaviors that does not quantify as whatever, right? But if you spread counselors out, counselors can go in and they can assess the situation and then help to clarify the language for everybody to understand. Man, the concern became about real estate. Well, we're going to have counselors have these plush offices, blah, blah, blah. But our principal was crazy enough to go with the idea, right? That first year, we had 17 discipline referrals in all of Gwinnett County, 17 in our school, right? That second year, we had 0 discipline referrals. Why? Because we took time to not only learn, but understand the language that these students were using to speak to us. And then we put things in place to address those languages. So we had to have some tough conversation with parents and invite parents in. But we also took the time to build a community with these parents. We had consistent things like movie night and dinner and those different things that we invited parents, and they showed up in droves. So when it came time for me to call a Yaron Brown to communicate something challenging about your child that's in our school, we already had a relationship that Yaron can receive that communication from me. And Yaron not feel like I'm trying to infiltrate his home.
Because you knew I had your best interest at heart.
Absolutely.
Best interest at heart.
And we've built a relationship. We've communicated, right? I've taken the time to learn the language that you are comfortable with, and then speak with you. Same thing that we do when we, English is a second language, right? We're just learning the language because we know this is the culture that I think that's not what needs to happen with our males, our young men, with our young boys, that we have to stop disciplining them and punishing them because they're attempting to communicate with us. Yes, the language might be offensive, but it's a language that they know.
Yes.
Right. So I tell
them. And the crazy part about it is we didn't taught them the language.
We modeled it for them.
Correct.
We modeled
it. So we modeling this language that we don't want them to use, but from the movies, home, social media, we telling them it's okay.
Correct.
Entertainment, we telling them it's okay, but then when they do it, we saying, "Oh no, we don't really want it. We don't really want to use that language. We just show it to you, but we don't really want you to use it. So why are you showing it?"
Correct. So it is this culture that we are now in, especially in the African American community. We talk a lot about what has happened pre-whatever in this country, right? Whether it's racism or superiority or whatever it is, right? And we have this expectation, especially in the Black community, of we're still waiting on reparation for 40 acres and a mule. Guess what? It's not coming.
Not coming.
It's not coming, right? But we need to normalize some things in our community, and especially where Black men are concerned. We need to create environments where it's okay for a man to have emotion and not be seen as a punk or not be seen as weak. We need to be willing to sit in those relationships for a while. Right? You pull women together, and in an hour, they're ready to go. You pull men together 6 months later, you're still trying to get us to open up.
Yes.
But are you willing to invest the time to allow me to open up? Powerful stuff, man. Powerful stuff. And then when we get there, we allow people. I have some brothers and some men in my life who I consider my accountability partners. Right? My accountability partners help me to remain accountable. As you, as an accountability partner of mine, you cannot be a member of my church where I pastor. I cannot pastor my accountability partners. Right? We cannot work together. You cannot be a colleague of mine. You can't be a friend of mine that we hang out and we take vacation. You're my accountability partner, right? That when your phone ring and you see my name, Pastor Weaver is not calling, Dr. Weaver to be is not calling, the professional CEO of Kennard is not calling. This is Kennard Weever that's calling. Kennard is calling, right? And you allow me to get out whatever it is that I need to regurgitate, and then you hold me accountable. I have to give you permission now to check me. Right? And when that conversation is over, it's over. And I know that whatever we discuss is private, just between you and I. Right? It takes a while to build those for men, for men to have those accountability stuff. But there's a lot that we are dealing with that we don't understand. Women are expecting certain things from us that we don't even know how to. We want to do what you're expecting. We don't know how to do it because we've never been in an environment to see it done. We've never been in a place where we've been allowed to practice it or any of those different things. So now it have this ripple effect that's impacting the home. It's impacting my career. It's impacting my choices in life. It's impacting how I view finances, all of those different things. But everybody's talking about the after effect of what is impacting. Nobody's talking about the root cause of it.
Absolutely not. And we're not talking about it, right? There's this, it's this toxicity that we have internally, right? Because there's a toxicity that we have internally, but we're acting like, it's coming out the pores, but we not even considering the origins of toxicity. We just know it's coming out the pores, right? We just know that, that we lagging, right? That we lacking energy, lacking effectiveness. And we just like, man, I wonder, man, I got it. The only thing we're saying is, we got to take something to get more energy. No, that's not it. We got to go deal with what's going on internally so that we can be effective. We can't just try to take something to be effective or try and mask it. We got to deal with it. Like you said, we got to deal with what the cause of it is. And so, brother, this is like this. I'm definitely like to have you back on here because we still got a lot of stuff to cover. We just got to
we just chatting, right?
We didn't even get past 15. We can get past 15 for you. So, and I know you have a lot. I know you have a lot more to tell. So I'm definitely going to have you back on. I do want to say something before we end today.
Okay.
You said something, and this is something that I do that I want to make sure that I address. You said your father passed away when you were around 13 years old. And every single person that's on here, for anybody that's transitioned, that has been an integral part of their life, we immortalize them digitally. So please say your father's name so that he will live on forever through this podcast that you're on.
And I appreciate this opportunity. Marcellinus Cedric Weaver, my father, David, in Guyana, South America. And even in talking, being here and talking, thank you for allowing me this time. It has triggered and helped me to realize that even at this stage of my life, there's a part of me that is still at 13 years old. I never got past that. So I need to do something to address that. But Marcellinus Cedric Weaver, who is, with all of his faults and all of his great things, was the greatest man I've ever had the privilege of being, having an encounter with, because without him, I wouldn't be who I am today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Brother Kennard, thank you for coming on. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Is there anything that you want to leave the audience with?
I really want us to take a look in our community, and I want us, as men, as we're out and about in our community and in different environments, I want us to be purposeful about noticing. We talk a lot about people watching. I want us to be purposeful and people watch. There's some young lady that you will see that's in the grocery store, in the park with a young boy. And I want us to make sure that we're elevating her for being willing to step up, right? And do that. There's some young man that you're going to see that may not fit whatever it is we might think might be the right fit for our daughters to bring home. But don't just judge the outer appearance. Take time to try to understand the deeper thing that is going on. Somebody told him it's not okay to be average. It's not okay to be okay. He needs to be great, but nobody's giving him permission to sit in okay and sit in average and deal with it, so you can develop a plan for greatness.
Outstanding. Thank you again, brother, for coming on.
Appreciate you, man.
Thank you. So everyone out here, please remember, heavy is the head. The question is, what are you doing to wear the crown? What are you doing to wear the crown? I'm your host, Yaron Brown. This is the Resilient Kings podcast, and we are out. Thank you, Ken.